Testing. Good evening, everybody. Let's stand and let's worship. Well, Father, we are grateful to sing these songs out of a heart that I pray is grateful, out of a gratitude for what you did for us first. I pray as we sing these words that they come out of our hearts. It doesn't matter how it's sung, but that we mean these words, Lord. You deserve it. In your name I pray. Amen. Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure. How great the pain of searing love, the Father turned his face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon the cross, the sin upon his shoulder. Ashamed I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, his death and resurrection. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: his wounds have paid my ransom. How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure. How great the pain of searing loss, the Father turned his face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, his death and resurrection. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer,
This I know with all my heart. His wounds have paid my ransom. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer. This I know with all my heart. His wounds have paid my ransom. I believe you're my portion. I believe more than enough for me. Jesus, you're all I need. You hold my every moment. You calm my raging seas. You walk with me through fire. Heal all my disease. I trust in you. I trust in you. I believe you're my healer. I believe you are all I need. Believe you're my portion. I believe you're more than enough for me. Jesus, you're all I need. Nothing is impossible for you. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible for you. You hold my world in your hands. Nothing is impossible for you. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible for you. You hold my world in your hands. I believe you're my healer. I believe you are all I need. I believe you're I believe you're my portion. I believe more than enough for me. Jesus, you're all I need. Jesus, you're all I need. I will run and not grow weary. I will walk, I will not faint. I will soar, wings like eagles, find my rest, your everlasting name. You are my revival, Jesus, on you I wait. I'll lean on your promise, you will renew my strength. Jesus, renew my strength. And I will run, not grow weary. I will walk, I will not faint. And I will soar, wings like eagles, find my rest in your everlasting name. You are my revival, Jesus, on you I wait. I'll lean on your promise, you will renew my strength. You are my revival, Jesus, on you I wait. I'll lean on your promise, you will renew my strength. You are my revival, Jesus, on you I wait. I'll lean on your promise, you will renew my strength. Jesus, renew my strength.
Father, we depend only upon you to renew our strength. We're all here, Lord, to listen to what you have to say through Danielle and through for the men's study, Lord, through your word. I pray your word comes off the pages, that it meets us where it needs to be met in our hearts. We're all walking in different faith levels, Lord. I pray that you would reach us exactly where we need to be met and take us to that next level. Help us to obey. Help us to listen first and then obey, Lord. So bless Danielle as she speaks in your name, I pray. Amen.
They're at. Oh, okay. Thanks. Okay. First, I want to say thank you, everybody, for being here, and then everybody watching online. A few shout-outs to Joss and May. I know you're watching. To my husband. And Ray Ray. I know he's been praying for me, so, and I can't forget him. Okay. All right, first we're going to pray. Lord, thank you for getting us all here. I pray for all the ladies that are here and anyone who's watching online. I pray that whatever I say, it's from you, Lord, and not from myself. And I pray that you calm my nerves and get me through this. And thank you for getting me here ready to go and for them to hear from you through me. In your name I pray, amen. Okay, so first of all, my name is Danielle. I've been attending Calvary Chapel since July of 2015, so that'll be 10 years this month. Okay, so a little bit about myself was I was born in Maryland. I am the oldest of 3 girls. Myself and my middle sister have the same mom and dad, so we grew up pretty close together. And then my youngest sister has a different dad, and she's 7 years younger than me. So my parents were divorced when I was 5 years old, and at that time I went to go live with my mom, and we stayed in Louisiana. I remember attending kindergarten, through the beginning of 2nd grade, still living with my mom, but then decided to move in with my grandparents and my aunt who lived in Maryland, while my 2 little sisters stayed at home with my mom back in Louisiana. I was always my grandma's favorite, so anytime I got the chance, I was always with her. I remember doing a lot of traveling with my grandparents, states to states for my grandpa's work, so those are some good memories. In the middle of my 2nd grade year, I started to miss my family back home, and at this point, my dad moved back to Texas while my mom was still in Louisiana. And at this time is when I decided to move to Shiner, Texas, to be with my dad and my sister and go to school there. My mom ended up moving to Texas shortly after to be closer to us so that all her daughters would be in the same state. We spent all the holidays and summers with my mom and the school year with my dad. Both sides of my family were brought up Catholic, so that was a religion I practiced up until I moved here to Calvary. I would attend Saturday evening mass with my grandparents on my dad's side, and then I would also attend the religion classes. They're called CCD in Catholicism. Let's see. I remember attending those classes and honestly never understood what was being taught or even said. Some of the words that they spoke just seemed a little foreign to me, and the explanations that they tried to give to follow up on those, I really never understand them completely either. I just went because I knew it was what I was supposed to do to be a good Catholic. My dad was never the religious type at all. The only time I ever remember him going to church was like my baptism as a baby and then first communion in 2nd grade. So it was always my grandparents who would take me to church. I remember one day asking my grandma, what happens when we die? And I remember her telling me that we would leave and we would be with God in heaven. And I remember her asking her, like, do we die and come back as something else or like another person? Like our minds are just wiped off completely of our old life and we're just a whole nother person? Like I really didn't understand. We were never taught that, like growing up Catholic. And while I remember sitting there asking her, I don't remember exactly what she said other than, we won't know until we get there. So I was always a people pleaser since I can remember, because that is and what I thought it took in order for me to get to heaven. And I knew for sure that even at the age of 10, heaven was where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be in hell, because, yeah. So I knew what that was. So I would do my good deed of the day to make sure I didn't miss out on any brownie points with God, so that I'd be there with him. The summers that I spent with my mom, I remember going to Mass on Sunday mornings and then going to breakfast with my grandparents. But once my grandparents moved, I don't always remember going to church every Sunday, but we would definitely be there on Christmas, Easter, and other special occasions. My sister ended up moving with my mom starting my 7th grade year, so it's just me and my dad, and we live with our grandparents. Let's see. My parents never argued or, disrespected themselves. Disrespected or said anything disrespectful, in front of us. They were pretty good in front of us. In middle school, I was always very involved in school. I was still a straight-A student, class president, part of the student council. I was in all the sports and in the high school band. Those are honestly some of the best years of my life. I had great friends and lots of support from family. I stayed with my dad until the start of my freshman year, and that's when my mom decided to move me to San Antonio, Texas, and that's where I started high school. So I was with my 2 sisters, and we were all together. And at that point, I was spending my vacations and holidays with my dad, and everything else was here. So coming from a small town of Shiner, Texas, which is population 2,700, to San Antonio because it was bigger and it offered more, and I had my sisters and friends and everybody to hang out with. The only time I remember hearing anything about Jesus was when a friend in the apartments that we lived in invited us to a Bible study that her godparents led in a vacant apartment that the landlord used to let them use on Tuesdays. Since it was something for us to do to get out of the house, my sister and I always went. I mean, we went too because they always gave us cookies and Skittles and a drink, but you had to get that at the end. So they would read straight from the Bible, and then I remember them asking us if we were Christians. And we're like, yeah, of course, we believe in Jesus, because we thought a Christian is just somebody who believes in God. And then she asked again if I was baptized, and I was like, yeah, when I was a baby. So then she asked me if I was born again, and I said, what do you mean? And I was just a confused teenager at that point. We did enjoy the Bible studies, and since we got to be with other kids and get the good snacks at the end, we continued going through. It was mostly through the summer. So let's see. Before moving to San Antonio, coming from a small town, I says I was extremely innocent, which I was. I didn't know anything about boyfriends and crushes or anything like that. But my first week at a new school, new environment, and it was completely different from what I was used to. We went from 20 in a class to 500 and 600 kids. So yeah, and then they were all different grades when you were, yeah. So throughout my high school years, I really just focused on school and continued to be a straight-A student involved in as many clubs as possible. I never did drugs or drank alcohol while I was in high school. I do remember going to church more often while I was preparing for my confirmation, which is another sacrament you have to fulfill as a Catholic, and that was during your junior year. And we would go to prep classes on Saturdays and then church on Sundays. And then we would go to church for 1 hour on Sundays and then leave. There was never I don't remember ever having families or friends to talk to there afterwards. It was just okay, we go, we do our time, and we're gone. But I went because I was like, okay, well, I need to get to heaven, so this is what I'm supposed to do. Okay. At the age of 16, I got my first job at good old McDonald's. I told myself, this will only last me until I graduate and move on to college. So I started as a crew person, then a crew trainer, and a few months in, and as soon as I graduated high school, I was promoted to a shift manager. I remember running my own shifts a week after I graduated and thinking, I'm not even certified to do this yet. But they trusted me. Okay, after shift manager, I was promoted to what they called a zone manager, which is you run a department, and they had me do the people department, which was making the schedules, doing the interviews, and the hiring, and whatever else they needed me to do. So instead of going to UT Austin, as I always thought I wanted to do after high school, I decided to go to SAC, San Antonio College, to take care of my prereqs and stay home to help my mom. Let's see, I worked a lot and did school when I could. I eventually, it wasn't for the 2 years, it was more than that, finished with just an associate's in pre-nursing. And then after that, I went to Career Point College to become a medical assistant so I could leave McDonald's. So I finished the program there and still stuck with McDonald's because they paid more. And at this point in my life, it consisted of a lot of partying every Tuesday, Wednesday, and the weekend. And it was either at a club, a dance hall, or just a party at home. But I was always surrounded by my sisters and lots of friends. I never got along with too many girls when I was younger, so a lot of our friend group was with guys. I never really went out to clubs or dance hall or party until I was 21 because, I wasn't going to get caught underage drinking in a club. I did underage drinking at home. My mom allowed us to have the parties and have the people over whenever we asked. They just couldn't be drinking and driving home, so we had a lot of people stay over. Okay, 2010. This is where the fun begins. Okay, so I'm working at McDonald's, and I had an elderly gentleman who worked for me. He was my lobby person. He spoke only Spanish to me, and I spoke only English to him, but we understood each other. So at McDonald's, when we're always struggling with staff, and I was a hiring manager, so he came up to me and asked me if I would give his grandson an interview. And I was like, sure, I'll interview him. So I had him set up for the interview. I had him come in. His name is Christian. He comes in for the interview, and I was like, okay, well, he looks great, but his availability wasn't. I needed some closers. I needed people who could stay till 11 or 12 at night, and he could only stay till 9 o'clock, so I didn't hire him. So a week later, the elderly gentleman comes up to me again and asks me, he was like, why didn't you hire him? You hired all these other kids. And I was like, well, he doesn't have the availability that I need. So I said, well, tell him to come back in and I'll talk to him because I needed people who could work late and people who could work on Sundays. And he said he couldn't do either. Okay, so he tells me after all, oh yeah, he can do that. So he came in, I reconsidered, and I hired him. Best decision ever. So I hired him, and he ended up being a really good worker and worked hard. He was primarily on my shift, so I got to get to know him. I couldn't be too interested because I was still in a relationship at the time, and he made it clear he wasn't looking for anything. I invited him to go out with us occasionally, and he eventually did. He started working there in February. I broke up with my boyfriend in March, and we were already good friends in April. So I let some time pass. We ended up always hanging out and talking, but we weren't a couple or anything. We were just friends. Friends with benefits. Best friends. He was my boo. We were really good friends for about 4 years until he officially asked me to be his girlfriend in 2013. Of course, we were living in a life full of sin because neither of us knew Jesus. We drank to get drunk. We were having premarital, unprotected sex, and then there were drugs. Okay, well, I wasn't doing the drugs. I tried it once, and I thought I was going to die because there was so much tightness in my chest. And I said, never again. And I didn't do it again. In December of 2014, I went to the doctor because I assumed I had a stomach virus. And I remember going in and asking them, and they asked me for a urine sample. And when they came back into the room, they told me, congratulations, you got a little bun in the oven. And I just sat there in shock and asked him, can you repeat what you said? He's like, yeah, you're pregnant. You're like 7 weeks or so. And he came in yeah, like it happens every day. I'm like, it doesn't. I just remember driving home and calling my mom and telling her first, and then I called Christian. I was a girl who was already 26 thinking, well, if I haven't already gotten pregnant by now, maybe I just can't have babies. I always knew I wanted 3 kids because I was one of 3, and that seemed like a good number to me. And I always knew that I would be done having kids by the age of 30. Jesus has such a great sense of humor. March 15 rolls around, and I'm pregnant, due in August, and Christian comes to tell me that he's now going to church with his grandma, and he's a Christian, and we couldn't be doing the things we were doing because it was wrong and sinful, and he is now born again. And I said, I'm a Christian too. I'm a Catholic Christian. And he tried to explain to me that that wasn't the same thing. And He said we could get married and we wouldn't be living in sin. And I kind of laughed, telling him no, because I need to be proposed to the right way. I need to be engaged for a while. And I need to plan this big wedding like I'm supposed to have. I knew that I couldn't become a Christian because that meant that I would be turning my back on Catholicism and my family, my mom especially. She would feel like I betrayed her, and I couldn't do that. A few weeks passed, and we still talked, but we didn't see as much of each other because he was either working or at church on Sundays, Mondays, and Fridays. He was a new Christian. He was here every day. I, too, stayed busy and working most days. There was a specific night he called me, and he tried reading the Bible to me. And I listened, but I really couldn't get much of it. I told him, I know I'm going to heaven because I'm a good person. I do my good deeds, and I never committed any crimes. He tried to explain to me, and he read from the Bible, he read to me John 3:3. I tell you the truth, no one can see the kingdom of God unless he is born again. He tried to explain to me that in order to get to heaven, you needed to be born again, which at that time meant nothing to me. He continued to explain to me that as a Christian, he needed to be with someone who was equally yoked with, and since I wasn't following Jesus, it wasn't going to work out, so he put us on a break. And to this day, we're still on that break, and he didn't get back with me. I was devastated and tried everything I could think of to change his mind about taking this break. He asked me to start going to church with him if I really wanted to work on us and be serious about it. So in July of 2015, I started attending Sunday services with him. I was always in the back listening, but not listening, thinking of my life was just fine where it is. I couldn't turn my back on my mom or my family. So many people approach you your first time here, and I had so many people approach me with huge smiles and so many hugs telling me they've been praying for me. And in my head, I'm like, you don't even know me. Or I was like, how do you know me? Like, you just walked up to me. So I would attend service occasionally with him on Sundays. I would come in. I would walk straight to the door. I would walk straight out the door, back to the truck, ready to go. I didn't talk to anybody else. Before coming to service at Calvary, I was working. Oh, okay. This is one of the stories. Okay. So before coming to Calvary, I was working a night shift at McDonald's, and Christian came in with like a mob of people. It was like 25 people around 9 o'clock at night on a Friday night. You know, they just left church. The first person I clearly remember approaching me was Jocelyn. And she came up to me to the register, and she was like, hi. And I'm like, how can I help you? And I remember ordering a fish fillet because that's what she eats. And so I didn't even tell her, is this for here to go? I just put it to go because I was like, get these people out of here. So at that point, I was like, okay, I took one order. That's enough for me. I got to go back here and help them. Let's see. And that's one of the stories we always talk about with Jocelyn. That's like the first time I met her. I didn't attend many services until, here we go. I attended any services because Ellie was due any day at that point. This was in August. So a week before her actual due date, Christian was out getting baptized, and I could have been having a baby at any time. He said he was going to make it no matter what, but he had to get baptized first. So August 16th, we headed to the hospital. I was already 41 weeks pregnant, and I had to be induced to have this girl because she wasn't coming on her own. The whole time I spent in the hospital, Christian still continued to read his Bible and pray every single day for me, with me. August 18th came around, and the baby still wasn't here, so the on-call doctor decided that we needed to do a C-section in order to get things moving. Of course, I was scared because this is a major surgery, and it's not what I wanted. My mom and Christian were both in the room with me when the doctor told us that only one of them could be in the delivery room. My mom assumed it would be her. Christian knew it should be him. So they agreed to put their names in a cup. And my sister would draw the name, and whoever she drew out, that's who was going in there. And I said, this isn't going to be pretty either way, because if my mom's drawn, I'll have to deal with what Christian's going to say. If Christian's drawn, my mom's never going to forget that. Well, Christian's name was drawn. So I was like, good, because He's the one that needed to be in there. Let's see. The whole time that all this writing of the names and putting them in the cup was happening, Christian was just holding my hand, and I knew that if his name wasn't picked, he would be hurt, but God. I remember praying before they took me back to surgery, and I thought, man, this man really has changed. He was so patient, so kind, and so gentle with me this entire time. He waited on me hand and foot, probably because I couldn't get out of bed, but he got me everything I needed when I asked without hesitation, and I was never alone. I believe this is when Jesus really started working on my heart. And finally, our 9-pound baby girl came out, Eliana Faith, and I got to see him be the best dad ever. And I knew that I never wanted to take that away from him. Bringing Eliana into this world was one of the best days of my life, and I know now that it was all because of Jesus. After 4 days in the hospital, it was time to go home. Home for me was my mom's house, and this is where I would be living with Eliana while Christian stayed at his own place. He would still come over to see Ellie almost every day and every chance that he got. I finally came back to church with him in October, and we sat in the back because I avoided this side because I didn't want Paula to come get me because I avoided that. I didn't tell y'all. So let me go back to that real quick. So I avoid that side because everyone comes up here and they're like, oh, she picked me up right over there and told me, oh, you're going to do Sweet Summer Devotion. So I avoided it on purpose. And I'm like, okay. So she got me this year doing women's retreat. That's the only time I talked to her for like a straight 2 months after every service. And she's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, you're the last one I got to ask. She said, ask. She said, oh, Sweet Summer Devotion this summer. And I was like, I never answered yet. She just, okay, you're doing it. So yeah, here I am. But I wanted to do that. So even if you avoid that section, she's going to find you. Okay. When I came back to church in October, everything was a little different here. Like when I would come in, like worship really, really had me at the heart. And I was like crying for every song, trying to hold back the tears. And I was like, oh man, what's going on here? So October 2015 on Communion Sunday is when I got saved. I chose to follow Jesus and leave my Catholic background behind. I remember walking out of the sanctuary, and Christian asked me if I chose to be born again, and I told him yes. And he was like, wait, you did? And I was like, yeah. So he grabbed my hand, and he took me straight to Sandra and Jocelyn. And he told them that I gave my life to Jesus, in which they were excited, maybe a little shocked, but they were excited. And they came to hug me. And I clearly remember Sandra telling me, yay, we can be friends now. Now, let me tell you why she said this. Sandra used to work for McDonald's, too. She was a GM. And I'm not speaking for her, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't my biggest fan. I always thought she got everything she wanted. She probably thought the same for me. She got the schedule that she wanted. She always had her kids in the lobby while she was working. And I only worked a little bit with her at the same store. So there was one night when Christian was working with me, and Sandra and her family went to the drive-thru, and he was the one to go take their order out. So he's talking and laughing and ha, ha, ha. And I'm just at the counter like, what are you laughing at? Who are you talking to? This is before I was saved. Excuse my face, but that's how it was. So he went to go take their order, and that's when I asked him, I was like, you know her? How do you know her? He's like, yeah, that's my niece's mom. And I was like, your niece's mom? Oh, them kids that come up here? So, yeah, and I was like, wow, what a small world. Nah, that was already Jesus working on me. I was like, she's your family? And I told him something like, ew, she used to work for McDonald's, and we never got along. But I never gave him any details. And when he started to come to church, he told me that he told his church family that he was having a baby. And when Sandra asked him with who, and he told her it was with me, she told him to take that baby and run. Oh, look at us now. You can't get rid of me. You're stuck with me, sister. this is how we're related to someone in the church. Because somebody asked me in the past, like, okay, are you related to anybody? Because it seems like somebody's related to somebody in the church. So yeah, we are. So his nieces, Victoria and Veronica, are our nieces now. So, but by now, I guess you can already tell we're related to a lot more people because it just keeps growing. Let's see. Okay. So in December of 2015, Ellie ended up getting RSV, and we went to stay with Christian at his house because at that time, my niece was also living there, and they're only 3 months apart, so we didn't want to expose her to the RSV. In 2016, while I was there with him at his house, we discussed our living situation and what we needed to do and to do it correctly. In January of 2016, Christian proposed to me. We got married in March of 2016. We got married at church on a Saturday with about 20 people in attendance. Because all y'all were getting ready for Easter at JPAC. So I was like, that's okay. It wasn't a big wedding. It wasn't the big wedding that I thought I was have, but it was perfect for me. So next March, it'll be 10 years. Let's see. Okay. After we got married and well established in the church, we began serving, and we haven't looked back since. We've done children's ministry together since then. I started serving on Monday nights in children's ministry with Crystal. That's where they got me. So I was like, okay, I'll serve in children's ministry. Oh, you need help on Mondays? Okay, I'll be there Monday. I wanted help with the babies. They didn't tell me you put baby all the way through 6th grade on a Monday night. I said, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be with the babies. Yeah, no. Let's see. Okay, so once she left to have Joey, I was the one in charge. So I was like, you're coming with me, Christian. You're serving with me on Monday nights now. And at that time, we only had Ellie, so it's easy. We'll just take her with us. And we did Monday nights until COVID hit in 2020. We also served on Sundays, 1st through 3rd, and now we currently serve on Friday evenings in the 1st through 3rd room. Let's see. I also serve helping with the food for events and pancake breakfast. And that's my shout out to Pastor Louie to make sure we double the amount of syrup that we get this year so that he'll never not have enough. I've led the registration team for Women's Retreat since 2017. My first retreat was 2016, so she didn't even give me a year. So she put me in charge. Oh, and that's when I found out what voluntold meant. Oh, we need somebody. Oh, Sundar said, hey, Mom Paul needs to talk to you. I said, okay, and that's when that happened. I really do enjoy the Women's Retreat registration, my team, and everything that comes with it. I'm a room mom to my class of 2033 babies. Shout out to all the room moms. And room mom coordinator. Let's see. You will also find me serving on the CKBS dance team and the Christmas choir choreography team. Let's see. I enjoy serving others with every opportunity that I get to be able to use all the gifts that he has blessed me with. All right. Married life was a lot to get used to, especially being married after you had a child. We lived in a small room with an added-on kitchen and a bathroom. While this wasn't my ideal home for our family, it worked for us, and we had shelter. In the beginning, and still sometimes today, I have a hard time submitting to my husband and following his lead. I have, however, learned to think about what I say before I say it and think about how I react to situations because I have little eyes and ears watching me constantly. Constantly. Being the eldest in my family, being in management for over 15 years, I tend to try to be the boss for everything. And I forget that at home, that isn't my job. I would always choose our kids or our daughter and her needs over the needs of my husband. I was always quick to get angry and upset when things didn't go the way I planned or the way I wanted them to go. I would somehow always bring it back to Christian and somehow find a way to blame him and make it his problem. He was always so calm about everything, and that drove me more crazy. He would always tell me that it would always work out, and that we just needed to pray and lean on God. One thing we always agreed on was that we would never let a daycare or a grandparent or a family member raise our children. The Lord trusted us with these babies, and they're only on loan for us for a short time, So we were to raise them and care for them. With making that decision, it meant that only one of us could work while the other stayed home with, we only had Ellie at the time. And we made that decision. We made the decision that I would be the one to continue to work since I was just promoted and my schedule would be more flexible. While some may not like the idea that the mother was working while the dad stayed home, it was what worked for us. That's what I said. And this happened for a few years until recently in 2023, I really felt the Lord asking me to leave my job to stay home with the girls. Christian knew how stressed and unhappy I was at work and told me it was time to go. I put my notice in before he even got a job. But my last day of work was July 3rd, and his first day of work was July 7th. So the Lord had it all worked out. We just needed to trust him. And our babies have never been in daycare or had to stay with anyone outside of appointments. We can say that we've been the ones raising them. (2017) While we love being a family of a family of three, I always knew I wanted to have more kids. I began praying that the Lord would bless us with more kids soon. Failed test after failed test, I began to lose hope and thinking, man, I really guess this is it. Like, my 3 kids is just a family of us 3. In April of 2018, I finally had a positive test. We were so excited. The first appointment went well. We were 7 weeks, heard the heartbeat, and everything looked promising. We told a few people so that we could share the good news with others, and they could begin praying for us. About 2 weeks later, I began to spot, and I knew this wasn't a good sign. But I was calm. I made an appointment to be seen as soon as possible. Going into the appointment, I was expecting the worst, but hoping for the best. When it came to checking the heartbeat, we were told the words that no expecting parents would ever want to hear. I'm sorry, there's no longer a heartbeat. At that time, I just went numb, and I just stared at the wall while they gave us a few minutes to gather ourselves before leaving. I just remember holding me and praying. Did I say Christian? I meant Christian was holding me and praying. I knew miscarriages happen, but I never knew anyone who experienced one or talked about it. I kept asking myself, is it something I did or I didn't do? Am I too stressed? Do I work too much? Why did this happen? While I questioned if it was something I did, I turned to Jesus for comfort because that's what I needed. My husband was saying and doing everything he could do to care for me. Most nights he would just hold me while I cried in his arms, and that was all I wanted. That's all I needed. After the appointment, I sent a message to the family and friends and told them and let them know about the miscarriage. Knowing that they would be praying for us put me at ease. I was sad and brokenhearted that I had lost a baby. Yet I was comforted knowing that they were with Jesus and I will see them again. Pregnancy announcement after pregnancy announcement from others, and none of them being ours, I began to grow bitter of those who were announcing. I was happy for them, but I was still brokenhearted over the fact that I wasn't able to be giving the same announcement. June 2019 rolls around and we get another positive test. This time I was just scared. It's like you want to be happy, but you have no choice but to think, what if? Again, the first appointment went well. We were 5 weeks in. We heard the heartbeat. So far, so good. July 2019, I had my second miscarriage. In all honesty, I don't know how I could have held it all together if I didn't have Jesus and my husband. I remember my sister telling me that, man, God really does give all the biggest battles to the strongest people, because she knew that if it happened to her, she would have been able to get through it. I always knew it was Jesus. After that miscarriage, I went up for prayer every Friday night for over a month, and every time, everyone that I prayed with, I was reassured by them that my baby was with Jesus and I would meet them one day. Knowing this and being reassured I would see them brought me so much comfort and I will always think, what if? But I will still always think, what if? August 2019, I had another positive pregnancy test, but I wasn't telling anyone. I think I told a handful of people so they could pray for us. I do remember always going to Gail after my first miscarriage because she kept me in prayer, always praying for us to be pregnant again if that was what the Lord wanted. I could text her anytime and would always have the sweetest responses, and she was always praying for us. Romans 12:15, rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. When I saw her in church after telling her the news in text, she didn't even have to say a word. She would just come up to me and give me a hug and pray for me, and that meant the world. Thank you, Gail. I was still a little new to the church, but you made me feel like you had known me forever. There were a lot of ladies, pastor wives, and pastors who knew of our situation and were always praying for us too. And the hugs and talks and everything were never went unnoticed. With this pregnancy, I was scared the entire time. We didn't announce to everyone until after 20 weeks, I think after the gender reveal. And that's how scared and unsure I was. Every appointment, I was anxious and scared when they checked for the heartbeat, but once I heard it, it was the biggest sigh of relief, followed by tears and being so grateful for this baby. During COVID, in April of 2020, we welcomed Eliza Marie Hope. It was a completely different experience in the hospital. No one gets to come visit you, to see you and your baby, to love on you, they couldn't visit you in the hospital. It was honestly just sad, but I was happy to finally be home with my hubby and 2 girls. Watching Christian be the best girl dad and Ellie be the best big sister was more than I could ever ask for, and I remembered to thank Jesus every single day for those blessings. Knowing that my baby wouldn't grow up as an only child, I couldn't help but be so grateful and thankful that Jesus blessed us with these 2 beautiful girls. But we weren't done yet. September 2021, another positive test. I remember crying in the bathroom. They were tears of joy, of uncertainty, of hope, all the emotions. Again, we only told a few of our closest friends about the pregnancy because if we were to miscarry again, it's a lot easier to tell 5 people than to tell 30. So October comes around, and I'm spotting again. I already knew what it was, but I needed to get it confirmed. 11 weeks along, and the baby no longer has a heartbeat. Without going into detail, this was by far the worst miscarriage I had ever experienced. It required a trip to the ER. And through the whole process, I knew Jesus was by my side the entire time. He sent me this man to be by my side and go through this with me. I was in pain, but so was he, and he had to be strong for both of us. I was never alone. After the 3rd miscarriage, I knew emotionally I couldn't handle it again. I was physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausted. But God knew I wanted 3 babies, and he made a way. In February of 2023, we welcomed our final baby girl, Amelia Love. 1 Corinthians 13:13, and now these 3 remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. This has always been my favorite Bible verse. When we were deciding on names for our first child, Christian already knew her middle name would be Faith because of his new faith in Christ. When we had our second baby girl, after the first 2 miscarriages, I knew it would be Hope because, And with our final baby girl, it only made sense that she would be Love. So we had our faith, hope, and love. It was a journey to get here, but he knew the desires of our hearts, and he made it happen, and for that, I am so grateful. For anyone who is struggling to have children, or even those who have already had a child but want more, the Lord hears you, and you are not alone. I hear you. If you feel like no one understands the pain you're going through, I'm here to help. I'm here to comfort you and remind you that Jesus has you. He's always had you and will continue to keep you close. Psalm 27:14. Wait for the Lord, be strong, and your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. And I was well over 30, like I thought I was before when I had Emmy. Being a part of CCSA means your family. My girls have had so many aunties and uncles and I've gained so many nieces and nephews who love the aunts and uncles that love them as if they were their own blood relatives. They are amazing examples of faithful men and women to them. They have known them since they were in the womb and have always prayed for them. Ellie is now 9. She's an incoming 5th grader at the academy and has been here since kindergarten. She has the biggest heart and shares Jesus wherever she goes. She would rather minister to the kids at the park than to go out and actually play. She is such an amazing big sister to both of her little sisters. Eliza Marie is the wild child and middle child. She loves to sing and dance and put on a show for just about anybody who's willing to watch her. The Lord definitely blessed her with some rhythm and a whole lot of sass. She is an incoming kindergartner at the academy, and she's so happy she gets to come to school with her sister and bring her own lunch, which will be apples and oranges and applesauce. And now the baby, Amelia, she keeps us all on our toes. She's grateful for all the food the Lord provides, or the Lord blesses her with daily, hourly. That girl can just eat. She's the sweetest, but once you take something away from her that she really wants, her piercing scream will do a number on you. Some say she's the next Mariah Carey. Being able to raise our girls in a church that is taught word for word from the Bible and to attend a school that teaches about Jesus every single day has been some of our biggest blessings. The friendships and acquaintances I have made here have all made a difference in my life. I have 3 besties here with me today who laugh with me, cry with me, pray for me, and pray with me. They're not afraid to correct me when I'm wrong or tell me to fix my face. I love you girls so much and so grateful that we get to be the best daughters of the King, wives, mommies, and besties together. For a girl who went from having 1 to 2 girlfriends in their life to having 3 of the best, I can't thank God enough for sending you all to me, especially at a time when I needed you most. Acts 17:26. From one man he made every nation of men, that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he determined the time set for them and the exact places where they should live. This is my story. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is exactly when. No, see. This is exactly. I'm where I'm supposed to be exactly at the right time and place. Why even read it? I have done what the Lord has asked me to do and continue to do. I know that all I spoke about tonight was from the Lord and not from me, because trust me, I couldn't have done this all by myself or even alone at that. Always remember that what you've gone through, what you're going through, and the challenges yet to come, you're not alone. Talk about it, pray about it, and seek the Lord in all the things that you do. And do all things as unto the Lord. And I'm done. So one question. No, I'm allowing one question. Okay, thank you.